Hello, my name is George Arndt. I'm a Canadian chartered accountant and I've held a number of positions over the years in many industries. Something I've learned over many years is that you have to look at the numbers and you have to do what's needed to get them going in the right direction. You don't get the numbers by managing numbers. You do that by managing people. In my position of CFO of a variety of organizations, I saw the problems in managing hundreds of employees and getting them to work as a unit. There was always the problem of office politics and undesirable behaviors and attitudes. I often wondered how we got anything out the door, let alone quality. That's what intrigued me when I met Tom Davis. He had a process that got great numbers by encouraging supervisors to manage people better. I first met Tom Davis in 1998 when I attended a seminar about a product he called the Workplace Communicator. It struck me almost immediately that he was onto something and I wanted to get involved. Once I got involved and saw the results in customers using the Workplace Communicator, I became convinced that he had solved the #1 problem that was hurting productivity in Canadian workplaces. When I investigated the Workplace Communicator, I discovered the numbers were most impressive, in fact, unheard of. It appears the Workplace Communicator works in any workplace environment with employees. It's been tested in 3 of Canada's major retailers. In every case, it had a major impact. One of the retailers tried it in more than 40 stores and got an 18 to 25% improvement in sales per hour per employee. Manufacturers claimed over 25% productivity improvement year over year, and a major full-service stockbroker used it for 5 years in its operations department and got its cost of transactions down to 1/7 of its closest competitor. If we want any kind of future in Canada, we've got to make Canadian employers aware of this unique management tool.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Barker. I first met Tom Davis in 2001 when I attended a seminar to hear about a management tool that he'd developed called the Workplace Communicator. At the time, I was researching a book I was writing about what organizations need to do in order to perform better. One of the things they need to do is use communication processes that are credible to all stakeholders. In other words, they provide value to each person. Tom's process struck me immediately as simple and sustainable. After investigating the results, I was impressed and wrote about it in my book, Leadership for Results. I was also intrigued, because that's the kind of guy I am, as to why this process seemed to be able to get such impressive results. One of the explanations that Tom used then, and has extended since then, is something called the productivity chain. It links together causal factors in a way that's clear and compelling. It explains why the Workplace Communicator can leverage higher productivity, and it also explains why a lot of things we see in organizations today just don't work. It's the reason we're here today. We want to enable more people to be able to hold their organizations up to the productivity chain and see the disconnects. And more importantly, help others to see the disconnects and take action. Before we talk about how we can help you do that, Tom is going to explain how he developed the concept, which in my opinion is one of the most novel and valuable insights I've seen.
My name is Tom Davis. As George and Tom said, I met each of them when I was giving a seminar about the Workplace Communicator. The Workplace Communicator is an employee communication tool that I developed in the mid-90s. It all started in 1988 when I saw that North America was in big trouble and heading for disaster. I wrote a book about it to get the message out. You see, through a private research study, we discovered that a simple methodology developed in Japan in the mid-60s was removing the wealth from North America, and no one could stop it. Japan had a definite competitive edge on North America. Only 4 years later, Japan became the first nation in modern history to surpass the USA in assets. They rose to $44 trillion, while the USA fell to $37 trillion. Meanwhile, when the USA realized they couldn't implement the Japanese model, they opted to other conventional practices in an attempt to compete. It didn't work. They then moved to other more risky ventures to shore up their assets that didn't work either. For example, the Americans made 4 attempts and all 4 ended in fiasco. Deregulating banking was the first in the 80s. The dot-com in the late 90s. Corporate accounting at the turn of the millennium. And the most recent, the subprime lending fiasco. Each one accelerating the removal of American wealth. Now the USA is in recession. Nobody admits it, but it's in recession. For the first time in a decade, Canada had a trade deficit in December. Ladies and gentlemen, the writing is on the wall. The status quo isn't working. Everyone knows it, and everyone is looking for an answer. In the US, General Motors has decided to terminate 75,000 employees and replace them with a workforce at half the price. This is their answer. Canada has lost 350,000 manufacturing jobs in recent years, and the US has lost over 3 million manufacturing jobs.